They say that in the distant heartlands of southern Africa, where the sun scorches the red earth and the baobab trees stand like ancient giants against the sky, there once lived a woman who could command the rain with a whisper. Her power was not written in books, nor carved into the stone of forgotten kingdoms, but it lived in the rivers that flowed, in the fields that flourished, and in the hearts of those who believed. She was not a tale to be told to children at bedtime. She was a truth the people lived and breathed. Without her, they believed the sky would remain silent, the earth would crack, and life itself would wither into dust. The woman they speak of did not wear a golden crown. She did not sit upon a marble throne. Her kingdom had no walls, no sentinels, no marching armies, and yet kings bowed to her. Warriors laid down their spears in her presence. Rulers of distant lands crossed mountain ranges not to conquer her, but to beg for what only she could give. They came to plead for rain. Her name was whispered through the tall grasses, carried by the wind and stitched into the songs of the Balobedu people. They called her Modjadji, the rain queen. To outsiders, her story sounded like legend. To her people, she was the axis upon which their world turned. Without her, the rains will not come. Without the rains, the seed will not sprout, the rivers will not swell, and the people will not survive. The story of the Rain Queen does not begin in a grand palace, but in a time of desperation when the skies had turned their backs on the earth. In those days, the land was weary, the rivers reduced to quiet trickles, and the once thriving forests trembled beneath the weight of the heat. The drums no longer sang in celebration. The harvest had failed. The cattle, sacred and cherished, had grown thin, their ribs showing like the bones of an ancient map. The people prayed to the ancestors. They danced for the gods, but the offerings were met with silence. Then, on a day when the air was thick and heavy with stillness, a child was born beneath a sky that refused to weep. Her mother, a quiet woman from a distant royal lineage, had fled the wrath of a forbidden love. She arrived in the hills of the Balobedu carrying more than a child. She carried a legacy shaped by whispers and bound by ancient covenants. That child born into exile bore the mark of the ancestors. Her cries were soft, but when she opened her eyes for the first time, the winds shifted ever so slightly, as though the heavens had paused to notice her. The elders watched the child. They observed the way the earth danced around her, how the leaves fluttered when she passed, even in the stillest hour. Her laughter was rare but potent. On the days she laughed, the mist would roll in form of forest, and the dry soil would drink the sky's dew. Her presence unsettled the rhythm of nature in a way that could not be explained, only accepted. As she grew, the people of the village began to understand that she was not merely a child. She was a vessel, chosen by powers far older than kings. She was the rainmaker, the keeper of the covenants between the sky and the earth. When she came of age, the royal council summoned her to the sacred grove that no outsider was permitted to enter. There, beneath the towering canopy of ancient trees, they revealed to her the truth she already felt in her bones. She was to become Modjadji, the rain queen, the guardian of the skies. But the crown she would bear was unlike any other. It did not come with feasts and celebrations, but with solemn rituals and heavy isolation. She was forbidden to marry, forbidden to give her heart to any man. Her body belonged to the ancestors, her spirit belonged to the rain, and her life belonged to her people. Though she could not take consort chosen by the royal council, she would forever walk alone, tethered to the sacred duties passed down through generations. When the time came for her to ascend, the sky was a pale, brittle shell above a starving land. She climbed the sacred hill alone, her steps steady, her heart heavy with the weight of what she was about to carry. She stood before the restless sky, lifted her arms, and whispered the words that had been entrusted to her. The wind stirred, the clouds gathered as though roused from the long slumber. Thunder rumbled in the distance, and the rains returned. The river swelled, the soil drank deeply, the people rejoiced, and the name Modjadji became a song carried on the breeze. Her fame spread beyond the borders of her people. Chiefs and kings heard of her power. Some came bearing gifts, cattle with golden horns, woven baskets heavy with salt and spices, fabrics dyed with the richest colors. They arrived in humility, bowing low, asking for her favor, begging her to send the rains to their parched lands. But not all came with respect. There were those who doubted her power, men bloated with pride who believed that no woman could command the sky. One such man was a powerful chief from the western plains. He arrived with tributes, his words sharp with entitlement. He demanded rain as though it were his right. The Rain Queen received him with quiet eyes and spoke softly, yet her words bore the weight of the sky itself. She turned to the horizon and said only one word, "No." The chief returned to his land, confident that her silence meant nothing, but the rains never came to his kingdom again. The rivers dried to breathing veins in the earth, the crops withered, his people fled, his name was lost to the dust. His story became a warning whispered to those who might dare approach the Rain Queen without humility. Those who honored her, however, returned home to bountiful harvest. The rains fell like blessings upon their lands. The cattle grew fat. Their children thrived. The Rain Queen's favor was not bought. It was earned through respect, through ritual, through an understanding that her power was not to be summoned like a servant, but to be honored like a living spirit. Even Shaka Zulu, the great military genius whose name struck fear across southern Africa, recognized her power. Historical accounts suggest that he sent emissaries bearing lavish gifts not to demand rain, but to pay tribute. Shaka, who bent empires to his will, chose to honor Modjadji. He understood that the Rain Queen was not his adversary. She was a fox beyond the reach of his armies. Yet, for all her influence, Modjadji lived apart from the world. The sacred forests that surrounded her royal compound were forbidden to outsiders. To step among those trees without her permission was to risk invoking the wrath of the ancestors. The forests were not merely trees, they were living temples, where the spirit of rain whispered through the leaves and where the queen walked in quiet communion with the skies. It was said that when she moved among the trees, the branches bent in greeting. When she whispered, the clouds would gather, eager to listen. Her solitude was not a burden, it was a sacred contract. To be the Rain Queen was to live a life of distance, a life of unspoken sacrifices. When droughts came, as they inevitably did, she would retreat into the sacred grove. Sometimes for 7 days, sometimes for longer. The people would wait, watching the sky, their hearts tethered to their silence. And then, as if her voice had awakened the heavens, the clouds would return, dark and full, and the rains would fall with thunderous release. The rituals she performed were veiled in secrecy. No outsider ever witnessed the sacred ceremonies. The knowledge was passed quietly from mother to daughter, like a river flowing beneath the earth, unseen but powerful. When the time came for the next queen to rise, the wisdom would be whispered in the final days, passed from dying lips to eager ears, ensuring that the covenant between the sky and the earth remained unbroken. Even as the world changed, when foreign explorers and colonial settlers arrived with the iron and the hunger, the Rain Queen remained. European officials, puzzled by the reverence she commanded, sought to understand her. Some dismissed her as a relic of superstition. Others, perhaps more cautious, sent their own tributes, unwilling to gamble with forces they could not fully explain. To the Balobedu, she was never a curiosity. She was the pulse of their existence, the invisible thread that held their world together. They had seen her walk among them. They had seen the rains respond to her whispers. Her power was not a question. It was a certainty. The last known Rain Queen, Modjadji ceased, reigned until the early years of the 21st century. Even in a time when modern governments sought to reshape the world with borders and policies, she carried the same sacred responsibilities. She ruled quietly with the weight of centuries upon her shoulders. Her passing marked more than the end of a life. It signaled the fading of a chapter written in the rhythm of the rain. Yet, among the Balobedu, the story has never ended. Even now, when the morning mist drifts lazily over the hills, when the forests hum with the soft breath of dawn, some say it is the Rain Queen walking among the sacred trees, her spirit brushing the clouds as whispers still shaping the dance of the rain. The question remains, was her power truly supernatural? Or was it the mastery of ancient knowledge, the intimate reading of the earth, the sky, the winds? Did she inherit a wisdom so finely tuned to the land that she could predict its rhythms, sense the pulse beneath its surface? Or was her gift a reminder that some forces exist beyond explanation, beyond science, woven into the spiritual fabric of a people who chose to believe? Perhaps the true power of the Rain Queen was not merely in the rains she summoned, but in the unity she preserved, the reverence she inspired, the delicate balance she maintained between humanity and nature. Her story does not linger in the pages of dusty text. It lives in the rains that still nourish the hills of Limpopo, in the sacred forest where the trees lean as if listening, in the hearts of those who remember. The Rain Queen was not a queen of conquest. She built no walls, she raised no armies, she ruled through harmony, through respect, through the rhythm of the rain. And as long as the clouds still gather over the Balobedu lands, as long as the rivers still remember their paths, the story of the Rain Queen will never truly end. If you've journeyed this far, if the echoes of her whispers have reached you, then perhaps the story was always meant to find you. There are more tales hidden beneath Africa's ancient skies. There are more legends waiting to be heard. Subscribe and join me, and together we'll uncover the secrets where history and myth work hand in hand.